18 years after he vanished, Michael Carter returned with nothing but a suitcase, blistered hands, and a truth that could destroy what little hope remained. He was once a billionaire who believed money could fix absence, ambition could excuse abandonment, and love could wait. But standing in front of a cracked adobe house in the New Mexico desert, he realized time had kept its own score. Inside that house lived the woman who never stopped praying for him, the daughter who learned to protect her family too early, and the son who drew a father he barely remembered. Michael didn't come back to be forgiven. He came back to stay. And what followed forced everyone, including him, to answer one terrifying question. Is love still possible after 18 years of silence? Michael Carter stood in the dust with a bouquet of white lilies wilting in his grip, the kind flown in from Amsterdam and wrapped in paper thicker than the walls of the house in front of him. The address on his phone matched the one on the mailbox, but his mind refused to accept it. An old adobe house sagged under the New Mexico sun, its roof patched with mismatched boards, its walls scarred by years of wind and heat. The driver behind him cleared his throat for the third time. Sir, Wasim, are you sure this is the place? Michael nodded without looking back. He felt like a thief standing on the edge of his own past. 18 years ago, he had kissed Laura Carter goodbye on a bus platform and promised to return rich enough to build her a palace. He'd left with a duffel bag and a hunger that burned hotter than love. He returned with billions, headlines, and a name people whispered with respect. And yet, here he was, frozen, unable to knock. The door opened before he could decide. A woman stood there with a wooden cane carved from a tree branch. Her hair was gray now, gathered into a neat bun, and her eyes didn't quite settle on his face. "Are you lost?" she asked kindly. The voice hit him like a fist. The same warmth, the same cadence that had followed him through boardrooms and sleepless nights. I'm looking for Laura Carter," he said, his voice thinner than he intended. "That's me," she replied, smiling. "Come in. It's too hot to leave visitors outside. Would you like water or coffee? I just made some." She didn't recognize him. Michael stepped inside and stumbled over the uneven dirt floor. Damp stains crawled up the walls. A bucket in the corner caught water dripping from the ceiling. This was the life he had built for her by leaving. "Mom?" a girl called from the back. A 16-year-old appeared, wiping her hands on a cloth. Green eyes. His eyes. Michael's chest tightened. "It's a gentleman asking about the area," Laura said gently. "Emma, go get your brother." A boy burst in, clutching sheets of paper smeared with colored pencils. He stopped short and stared at Michael. "Mom," he whispered, "he looks like the man in my drawings." Laura laughed softly. "Noah is always drawing a man in a suit. Children's imaginations are something else." Michael glanced at the drawings. Childish lines, yes, but unmistakable. A tall man, dark hair, a suit identical to the one Michael wore. His knees weakened. "Please, sit," Laura said, pulling out a chair. "Sorry for the simplicity. Since my husband left to make his fortune, things have been tighter." Left, not abandoned. The word cut deeper. Laura poured water into a cracked glass. "He traveled," she corrected when Michael asked. 18 years. I was pregnant with Emma then. He said he'd come back rich." She smiled, a sad, steady smile. "I still believe he will." Michael's hand trembled. "You never heard from him?" "No." Her voice softened. "At first I thought he'd found someone else. Then I feared he'd died. But every night I asked God to protect Michael and bring him home." The glass slipped from Michael's hand, water spilling across the table. She still prayed for him. "What was his name?" he asked, barely breathing. "Michael Carter," Laura said. "The most handsome man I ever knew. He had green eyes like precious stones." Emma stared at Michael's eyes, suspicion sharpening into something darker. "Mom, what time did Mr. Wilson say he'd arrive to fix the roof?" she asked quickly. "I can help," Michael blurted. "I know construction." He hesitated when she asked his name. "Thompson," he lied. "Michael Thompson." They argued softly, then agreed. The roof leaked onto Emma's bed. Michael felt sick. His daughter slept where rain fell while he owned empty mansions. Laura explained her failing eyesight. A factory accident, surgery she couldn't afford. The kids come first, she said. Emma embroidered with her. Noah sold drawings to tourists. Michael examined their work. Beautiful, worth hundreds in Los Angeles. They sold them for $10. He laid $100 on the table. I want them all. It's not charity, he insisted when Emma protested. It's a fair deal. A knock interrupted them. An elderly man entered with a toolbox and froze. Michael Carter, he said. Silence crashed down. Laura turned, confused. This is Mr. Thompson. I carried bricks for him, the man snapped. That's Michael Carter. Laura's cane clattered to the floor. Michael? Her voice broke the name into pieces. Michael couldn't lie anymore. It's me. What followed wasn't shouting. It was worse. 18 years poured out in a single breath. Hunger, soled shoes, fainting from exhaustion. Children growing without a father. Emma stood between them like a shield. Get out, Laura said finally, her voice raw. There's no explanation for abandonment, Michael begged. He offered money, surgery, schools. Emma laughed bitterly. You can't buy time. Noah spoke softly. We always had love. The boy's words crushed him more than anger ever could. I'll stay, Michael said. I'll leave everything. Laura shook her head. Prove it. Stay nearby. Work, no money, no promises. That night, Michael slept in a rented room in town. At dawn, he returned in jeans and boots. Different clothes don't make a different man, Laura said. I know, but it's a start. He lifted feed sacks until his hands blistered. He fixed the roof with borrowed tools. Noah watched, curious. Why are you doing this? Because work done for the people you love matters, Michael said, surprising himself. When a business crisis called him back to Los Angeles, Michael chose to stay. He lost a contract worth millions and returned before dinner. I chose you, he told them. Silence settled, not angry this time, but thoughtful. Laura looked at him. Then stay, she said quietly. But know this, trust grows slowly. Michael nodded. He would wait. He had already wasted 18 years, and as night fell over the adobe house, with a place set for him at the table, Michael realized the hardest part of his journey had just begun. Michael Carter woke before dawn to the sound of roosters and wind, brushing against the adobe walls of the small rented room. His body protested the moment he sat up. His hands were blistered, his shoulders ached, and his back felt older than his 48 years. In Los Angeles, pain had been abstract, solved with trainers and massages. Here, it was honest. It reminded him he was still alive. He washed his face with cold water, stared at his reflection, and barely recognized the man looking back. No tailored suit, no watch worth a year of Laura's income. Just a tired man with haunted eyes and a quiet determination he'd never needed before. By sunrise, he was already outside Laura's house. Emma was sweeping the yard, her movements efficient, guarded. She nodded once, nothing more. That small gesture felt like permission. Michael picked up the hammer Benjamin had left by the wall and climbed onto the roof. The patch boards creaked under his weight. As he worked, memories surfaced uninvited. Emma's age when he left. Laura's face the morning he boarded the bus. The lie he told himself that love could wait. By mid-morning, Noah appeared below with a glass of water. Mom said you'd forget to drink, he said, holding it up. Tell her thank you, Michael replied. Their fingers brushed when he took the glass. Noah didn't pull away. Are you really staying? The boy asked quietly. Michael swallowed. I'm trying. Noah nodded, as if that was the most honest answer anyone could give. Later that day, Michael went with Laura to the small market on the edge of town. He carried baskets while she navigated with careful steps, her vision faltering when the light shifted. He noticed how people greeted her, how they respected her. She wasn't pitied. She was valued. That realization humbled him more than any business failure ever had. On the walk back, Laura spoke without looking at him. You don't owe us heroics. If you're here, just be here. That's all. I don't know how to do small, Michael admitted. I was always taught big gestures matter. They don't, she said simply. Consistency does. That night, Emma confronted him by the kitchen sink. Don't think one lost contract makes you a good man, she said, her voice steady but sharp. You chose once before, you left. I know, Michael replied. I won't pretend otherwise. And if another crisis comes, she pressed, if someone offers you everything you used to have? Michael met her gaze. Then I'll choose again. She didn't smile, but she didn't turn away either. Days passed. Michael settled into a rhythm that felt foreign and grounding. Morning repairs, afternoons helping Noah with schoolwork or walking the land, evenings shared at the table, where conversation slowly replaced silence. He listened more than he spoke. He learned Emma wanted to study sustainable agriculture. He learned Noah dreamed in colors and shapes, his drawings filled with movement and quiet emotion. One afternoon, Michael received a call that shook him. His partner's voice crackled with urgency. If you don't come back now, you'll lose more than contracts. You'll lose your company. Michael stared at the dirt road outside, at Noah drawing under the shade of a tree. I already lost myself once, he said. I won't do it again. He hung up. That night, Laura found him sitting alone on the porch. You look like you're carrying something heavy, she said. I sold my shares, he told her, or I will. I'm walking away. She froze. Michael, that's not what I asked of you. I know. This isn't payment, it's alignment. You might regret it, she warned. I regret leaving, he said softly. Everything else is manageable. Weeks turned into months. Michael's presence became ordinary, and that, he realized, was the miracle. Emma began asking his advice about her studies. Noah started calling him Dad by accident, then without apology. Laura watched it all carefully, measuring not words, but reactions. How he handled frustration, how he handled boredom, how he handled days when nothing went right. One evening, a storm tore through town. Rain poured through the repaired roof in one corner. Michael worked through the night, soaked and exhausted, fixing what he could. Laura watched from the doorway. You didn't run, she said. No, he replied. I stayed. After the storm, she invited him to walk with her. They spoke of small things, of fears, of how love doesn't erase damage, but can choose to live beside it. I forgave you long ago, she said quietly, but forgiveness isn't the same as trust. I know, Michael said. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to watch. She stopped walking. Then watch we will, slowly. That night, Michael lay awake, listening to the sounds of the house, the breathing of his children, the wind outside. He had never felt poorer or richer. For the first time in his life, success wasn't loud. It didn't applaud him. It simply stayed. And that terrified him more than any risk he had ever taken. Michael Carter learned that redemption was not loud. It did not arrive with applause or forgiveness wrapped in neat sentences. It arrived in mornings that felt the same as the day before, in hands that stayed blistered, in choices that had to be made again and again without anyone watching. Months passed and the adobe house slowly changed. Not in appearance, but in atmosphere. The patched roof held. The fence stood straighter. The yard grew small signs of care. None of it happened overnight. It happened because Michael woke up every morning and did not leave. He learned Laura's routines without interrupting them. She woke before dawn to sit on the porch in silence, listening to the desert breathe. At first, Michael stayed inside, afraid of intruding. One morning she handed him a cup of coffee without a word. They sat side by side, not touching, sharing the quiet. It felt more intimate than any embrace he remembered. Emma returned from the community college one afternoon with brochures in her backpack. She laid them on the table without looking at him. There's a program, she said carefully. Sustainable agriculture. It's far. Not Los Angeles far, but far enough. Michael nodded. What do you want? I want to go, she said, but I don't want to leave Mom alone. Laura opened her mouth to respond, but Michael spoke first. Your mother won't be alone, he said. Not because of me, because she raised you strong enough to live your life. Emma studied him, searching for the trap. You won't use this to control where I go. I won't, he said. If you leave, it will be because you choose to. And if you come back, the door will still be open. Emma's eyes filled despite her effort to stay composed. She turned away quickly, but that night she left the brochures on his chair. It was her quiet way of saying thank you. Noah's trust came differently. He trusted with questions, endless ones. Why clouds moved the way they did. Why some people left and others stayed. why drawings felt truer than words. Michael answered honestly when he could, and admitted when he couldn't. One evening, Noah handed him a drawing. It showed 4 figures standing under a sky stitched together with color. "That's us," Noah said. "Not perfect, just together." Michael had to step outside to breathe. The real test came quietly without warning. A former partner arrived unannounced, expensive shoes sinking into the dust of the road. He spoke of opportunity, of regret, of how Michael was throwing away brilliance for mediocrity. Laura listened from the doorway, saying nothing. That night she asked, "Do you miss it?" Michael didn't answer right away. "I miss who I thought I was becoming," he said, "but I don't miss who I was when I was chasing it." "And if that feeling returns?" she asked. "Then I'll sit with it," he said. "I won't run." Time did what force never could. It softened edges. Laura began to trust not because Michael convinced her, but because he stayed the same on good days and bad ones. When Noah fell ill and needed care through the night, Michael didn't sleep. When Emma came home angry after a failed exam, he listened without fixing. When Laura's eyesight worsened and fear crept into her voice, he held her hand and let her cry without promises he couldn't keep. One evening, nearly a year after Michael's return, Laura spoke at dinner. "I don't want us living in between anymore," she said. "Not strangers, not pretending the past didn't happen." Michael felt his chest tighten. "What do you want?" "I want to try," she said. "Not to go back, to move forward. Slowly, with honesty." Emma looked at Noah. Noah smiled first. "I want Dad here," he said simply. Emma exhaled. "Then I want him here too. But if he leaves again, I won't," Michael said. "Not promises," Laura corrected gently. "Choices." Michael nodded. "Then I choose you. Every day." They didn't celebrate. They did not announce anything. Michael moved his few belongings into the house quietly, like someone entering sacred ground. That first night, Laura told him to sleep beside her, not as a grand gesture, but as a fact. "We've waited long enough," she said. "The years that followed were not perfect. They were real." Emma graduated and returned with plans that changed the community. Michael supported her without leading. Noah's art found recognition beyond the desert, but he chose to keep his roots. Laura expanded her work with the local school, teaching adults who had never learned to read. Michael became known not as the billionaire who returned, but as the man who stayed. One night, sitting under a sky crowded with stars, Laura asked, "Do you ever regret choosing this life?" Michael looked at the house, filled with laughter and quiet moments. "I regret leaving," he said. "I don't regret coming home." They renewed their vows in the backyard. No spectacle, just people who had watched them change. When Michael spoke, his voice didn't shake from nerves but from certainty. "I know what this promise costs now," he said, "and I know it's worth everything." Years later, when grandchildren filled the yard and the house felt too small for joy, Michael understood the truth he had chased his whole life. Success wasn't what he built alone. It was what he built with love, patience, and presence. On his 70th birthday, Laura leaned against him and whispered, "You learned to come home." Michael smiled. He had, and he never left again. What do you feel after this ending? Relief or tears? Do you believe Michael truly redeemed himself, yes or no? If this story touched you, comment 100 below. Tell us which country you are watching from. And if you believe stories like this matter, share this video with someone who needs to hear it.